and Shanghai Liu, Managing Director of China Telecom Africa and Middle East. And now I'm pleased to hand over to Nico Walters, Global Innovation and IT Manager for CMC Networks, who's representing MEF today.
Thanks, Sophia. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate it. I'd like to thank our panel of guests for making some time to discuss this. We are obviously discussing digital telco, what it is, what the transition steps are, some recommendations and some views in terms of new services. And then we're going to wrap up with some next steps and Q&A. So what I want to start with is I just want to give everyone a quick minute to introduce themselves and what they do. So starting with Shanghai, then go over Estelle, and then we're going to give Angela a second. So if you want to quickly have a introduction there, Shanghai.
Okay, thank you, Nico. My name is Shanghai Liu. I'm the Managing Director of China Telecom Africa and Middle East. I'm in charge of the business operation for China Telecom in MEA region. As you might know, for China Telecom, currently we have office in Middle East, in UAE, in Kenya, and in South Africa. And we also have office in Egypt. We are also spending the more business regions coverage and in continental and the Middle East. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Estelle Akofio-Soa, and I am the West Africa Region Manager for C², which is an entity that was born out of Google with the ambition of investing and commercializing open access internet infrastructure to really enable mobile operators and ISPs across the continent to bring the much needed broadband access to where it's needed most, so that the continent can benefit from the exciting social and economic benefits of internet. We operate in Ghana, Liberia, Kenya, Uganda. We also have offices in Mauritius. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela.
Sorry. Hello there. This is my second panel in a row. I'm Angelo Gama. I'm the CEO of Angola Cables. As you might be aware, Angola Cable is a wholesale operator. We own and we participate in a few submarine systems across the globe. We were lucky enough to be the first company ever to deploy a submarine system across the from Africa to Brazil, SACS. And then we have a partnership in Americas as well, and here in Africa. We are pretty much engaged in the subject of our panel here today, this afternoon. So it will be a pleasure to be here with you guys and share with you what we're trying to do in this digitalization transformation of the company. So thank you all of you. Thank you for inviting me, and we're here for answer your questions.
Great stuff. And by way of introduction, I'm Nico Walters. I head up innovation and information at CMC. So all things software defined falls under my remit, as well as innovation around new products and services, working very, very closely with our ExCo team in executing our own digital strategy. And I'm the birthday boy today, so I'm making sure that we're going to have a lot of fun today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. So to start this conversation, I wanted to throw a question out to all the panelists and really get your input in terms of definitions for digital telco. I mean, we have this conversation in various boards across in MEF. We talk about the digital services provider. So we talk, in the spaces around Europe and the US, quite a lot around the digital telco or digital service provider. But within the African context, which is the point of today's chat, I'd like to throw it out to the panel and say, what is your take on a digital telco? Where, what do you see a digital telco to be? And just define the term a bit more. So I think I'll start with Estelle. If you want to take it away and give us your input there, I'd be very happy.
Sure. So one of the things I love about speaking on a panel is it gives me an opportunity to deep dive and become a so-called expert on a topic. And so when I was thinking about preparing for this panel, my first thought was, is there any difference between a digital telco and a digital any company? And 5 odd years ago, everything was this, that, and then it was online this, and it's internet enabled, which is one that I particularly love. So we always have these trends. But put trends aside, for me, I think a digital telco or any company that embraces its digital strategy is really a company that is aligned with its customer strategy. Being digital is about aligning with your customers' demands, their needs, meeting their needs. And it's about using technology to really reshape an organization in everything it does, both internally and externally, to really align and meet its customers' needs. And I think Amazon is probably one of the best examples of a company that has embraced technology and digital, both internally and externally. So the way their staff work and the way our customer works as well. So for me, digital and being customer-centric are the same. So it's about a telco becoming absolutely customer-focused.
I couldn't agree with you more, and it's going to be touched on very soon as well as in terms of drivers. And I think our customers are the ones driving our transformation needs and demands, right? So I'm going to throw it over to Shanghai if you want to give us your input as well in terms of what you see a digital telco from an African perspective should be or is. Just on mute.
Sorry, hi, Nick. Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, that's great. I think when we talk about the digital telco, I have to introduce the China Telecoms transformation strategy. And China Telecom is the very first telco in China to introduce the transformation strategy since decades ago. And currently, we are in the phase of a transformation strategy 3.0. And our current strategy, we call it cloudification and the digital transformation. It's just to tell everything. Digital telco, it's something totally different compared with the traditional legacy telecom operators. I think two major differences for digital telco is one side. The first is the service provided by telco is slightly different. It's totally different compared with the traditional telecom operators. It's not the connectivity, pure bandwidth. We have to combine all the solutions, applications, even partners product together to provide a total solution to end user. It's a first difference. And the second difference is the way we are providing service is different compared with traditional telcos. Traditional telcos, like you go into a shop and you select what is presented in the shop. But the new model is different. Customer can design their own product. Customer can have their services fully automated on a digitalized platform. So that's two major difference. I think digital telco will create something new in the industry.
No, brilliant. I think you touched on a very good point there, which we'll get to, and around automation and self-service. I think the digital telco is definitely, as an OTT in a sense, very keen on providing these services in a consumable way that customers can customize. So Angelo, wrapping up with that question, what is your take? What do you feel? Are we on the right track here with our definitions and understanding?
Yes, indeed. Actually, I couldn't agree more. The digital telco, it's just following the trends. We're not really creating something new. We're just following the trends. As everybody is engaged in this digital transformation, all critical business around the world are engaged in transforming themselves, becoming more digital. In terms of the next topics that we'll be discussing further, as the traditional telecom operators, we have to follow that trend, and we have to use all our capacity, the infrastructure, the network that we have been deploying and growing to help this digitalization process. And by doing so, we are also transforming ourselves. By doing so, we are also transforming, digitalizing our way of doing business, a way of thinking. So it's not just you to automate your internal process. Is a brand new concept of thinking and what to do and how to do it. It's following your customer leads and provide them the support that he will require when he get into that position. So for us, is really being watching what are the trends. Is watching how can we improve our services and how can we just perform a better services to our customer, and being able to help them into this digital transformation. And by doing that, so we also have to transform ourselves. So this digital telco is really a insight transformation from the whole company, so that you can help your customers to doing the process of them transforming themselves as well.
No, brilliant. And I think, staying with you, Angela, just for a second longer, I wanted to just quickly touch on what do you see are the drivers behind, we always ask when a new trend comes out, what are the drivers, what's pushing people to do it? But in your opinion, what are some of the key drivers behind, forcing telcos, to African telcos specifically, to look at this transition and look at these digital services?
Well, it's not difficult. Like, it's been proved, and this is not the subject of our discussion here. The improvements that will bring to your business if you just transform yourself into the digital. Shanghai was just saying that before earlier on, but as specifically Angola Telecom, as we have like as I said, a big infrastructure, as we have connectivity around the globe, as you have data centers. Well, we have places, we have equipment in data centers, POPs in data centers across the globe. So what we've seen that we have everything ready into our network to help to promote and expand the digital ecosystems. So this is what we're trying to do now. Is really transform our main services and products into more specific products that will help our customers becoming digital, digital aware. Yes.
Thanks. No, so I was just saying, Estelle, I think you touched on it very briefly in the beginning there, and I thought maybe you want to add in and say, are you seeing other drivers? You're saying customers are driving our transformation requirements. What are you seeing some of those demands being?
Yeah, and so just to add on to that, I think it's really a matter of survival for not just telcos, across businesses. It isn't really a choice. And it's about staying relevant in this fast changing world. And, COVID and the pandemic, I think was a terrible, but just in our face realization that we need to be able to meet our customers where they are, and give them what they want. And that's what today, historically, a telco was differentiated because of where it had its towers, because of how much fiber it might have had. But that isn't what's differentiating telcos today. It's really about, are you meeting customers' needs? And how are you meeting them as well? I think another driver is also the environment, the business environment. And so how closely our government, both the public and private sector initiatives align to create that environment that enables telcos and businesses to go digital. And you need that environment both for operating a business, but even to have users that are tech savvy, data hungry, that's created by the environment and how our economies are doing. So I think government, private sector, the environment we're in, operating in, is another driver.
No, thanks. And I mean, what I've seen so far, at least, we have very extensive network out in Africa and the Middle East, and what we found is customers are looking at consumption-based services, which is not a really big telco thing, where we look at infrastructure needs to be deployed. We need to do 12-month terms. Now customers are looking at this digital world, instant gratification. They want to use services for a month or two, stop services, and COVID's really changed that mindset even more. With a lot of uncertainty, we don't know if we're going to go lockdown. Is there a third or a fourth wave? And so we definitely seeing all these things and more as we process. But staying with Estelle, when we talk about all these things and all these things considered, what are some of the technologies or methodologies you would think or are seeing a telco should be looking at adopting, at least to make this successful transition over into a digital telco?
Yeah, so I think my answer is probably going to more focus on the methodologies and the approach. So first of all, it needs to be something that is driven from the very top down. You need to have a very clear ambition and vision about going digital, and resources need to be invested into it. It's not a quick sprint. You need to have a dedicated team that are driving this transformation across all parts of your business. Because it's not just in the technology team, it's in finance, it's in the legal team, it's in sales, it's throughout the entire organization. It's a mindset change. And organizations, telcos, need to adopt an agile way of working where they test quickly, fix quickly, constantly assessing, making data-driven decisions about how their customers are responding, how their efficiency is also being improved. And remember, all of this is also about driving down costs and driving up revenue at the end of the day, right? It's absolutely about meeting our customer needs, but telcos need to find a way. We have a business to run, and operating in Africa is definitely not without its challenges, which often drive up operational costs significantly.
Absolutely. No, absolutely, yeah. and very insightful. I think that's one of the elements, especially in your region. You are working in probably one of the most difficult regions in Africa. So, completely with you in that sense. Where we're seeing, yes, we have customer demand, we have to meet them, but at the same time we have to drive costs down. We're seeing price erosion and all these things. So it does become a bit more important to look at this long term as opposed to this is not a sprint. I love it. Angela, just a quick one on your side there. We were talking about some of the methodologies, and as Estelle saying, this is not a sprint, it's a long-term project, especially with telcos invested heavily in infrastructure. What's your take on automation and orchestration? I mean, these are things our SDOs like MEF and TMF are really pushing, and they are really helping telcos transform. But what is your feeling about automation? Is it an orchestration? Do you see an impact or a requirement?
For sure, Nico. Right now, all of this is gonna end up as a traditional telco having more than one business model, having a lot of services. In our example, for instance, we used to be like a normal telco. In a wholesale business, just selling internet or direct capacity to our customers. Right now, we have to orchestrate between all these APIs that our customers have, because we want to be with them. We want to be digital. We want to integrate their application into what we are doing. So we have to. There's a lot of orchestration being there between the APIs, so we can provide a better service to our customers. We have to, for instance, in terms of security, you have to go into the package with everybody now is offering DDoS for digital services, but there's more add-on you can do to that. We are also providing our customers for more intelligence in terms of AI for what they are doing for the routing, for the sourcing that they are bringing. So we have to automate all this process and orchestrate what we have and what the customers are doing so that at the end of the day they will see that we are no longer traditional telco. We are going further. We're gonna up the OZ layers and provide them like a services that complements what they are doing. We are not, and our intention is not to become OTT doing with a better quality of services. And that means that we need to orchestrate our platforms, our services, where we are, to orchestrate with what the customers are doing, their application, and now we have open platforms, APIs that allow us to do that. So that means that before you wouldn't see that many developers in a traditional telecom operator. Now you see that the traditional telecom operator moving to digital. They need to hire software developers. We just build up a new, we call it cabinets, or say department in English, for innovation and developing of software. And that means that, and we didn't have this before. As we want to transform ourselves into digital, we need to be with our customers. So we need to start developing software. It's no longer just providing a traditional pipe. It's no longer just providing IP transit to our customers. It's really knowing what they're doing and build up an application that will make his life easier and my life easier. So we can provide them either content, or it's no longer like a blank, not blank, but a dark pipe. We need to know what exactly is going on into that pipe. So this is what we're trying to do, orchestrating what they have with our one solution, developing and making automatic so that we don't have a lot of human intervention.
No, great stuff. So what I'm hearing is it is actually, orchestration, automation within the business units, wherever possible, has a lot of benefit, and it's almost sort of a requirement for getting scale and getting to our customers. Now, I want to, Shanghai, what I wanted to ask you is, we're speaking automation, orchestration, which is very synonymous with cloud. I know China Telecom is really big into providing capacity and connectivity in the space as well. So should the digital telco be cloud native or cloud focused, or should African telcos look at accelerating cloud adoption, whether private or public, or even partnering with hyperscalers? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I believe cloud is very important. Even the fundamental technology and the services provided and taken by digital telcos. And as mentioned, China Telecom, currently our strategy is cloudification and the digital transformation. And so cloud and the network convergence is very important for China Telecom. And we have been introduced cloud services many years ago. And currently we even split our cloud services and the infrastructures to a separated company. We call it China Telecom Cloud Network Technology Company in China. So that's the effort for China Telecom to enhance our cloud capabilities and introduce the cloud native services to our end users. And
so this is a very big thing for African entities as well then?
Yes, sure, of course. And even in Africa, some people might say Africa, there is still not huge requirement for the cloud infrastructures. Even some giant cloud providers, AWS and other providers, they just started to invest in Africa since maybe 1 or 2 years. But we have strong confidence for the requirement in the continent because with the driving of the new technology and the customer's requirements, we see everything go edge, everything needed to as close as possible to the end user. So you have to have your facilities in Africa to provide the service to applications, to platforms to serve the requirement in the local market. So China Telecom is we started to build, we called it micro cloud facilities in several African countries since several years ago. South Africa, Kenya, Egypt, and Nigeria, and to meet the requirement for our customers. So I believe cloud is very important for every telcos in African market. Even there is not huge requirement at the very beginning, but there are some special requirement in the local market. So we have to cooperate with other cloud providers to work together and to provide, we call it omni-cloud services to end user. Not only yourself to provide cloud services, but you have capabilities to combine and consolidate all the cloud services together to serve your customers.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And what I want to ask while we're talking about these new digital services is, Estelle, what do you see as some of the new digital services that can generate new revenue streams for telcos in Africa?
Thanks, Nico. Well, I mean, I love that question because I guess there isn't any, it's almost impossible to know all the answers, you know, and as we've been talking today, you know, it's all about automation and literally enabling customers to request a product or a service and for it to be provided. And so there's, and it's about empowering them to use our services as they, you know, to meet their needs. So I you know, as I was preparing, I was like, well, it's an unlimited answer to that question because, I mean, how many years ago did we ever think telcos would be taking over the banking space, you know, with mobile money? And today I serve on boards, you know, and it's a real, on bank boards, it's real concern about how a traditional bank remains relevant with the whole mobile money space. So I think it's just endless, and we can't even imagine all the different products that are going to be demanded. And it's just about being open and being quick to respond and deliver on those customer needs. And I just wanted to add a little bit to Shanghai's response earlier. I think I like to demystify technology. I'm not actually originally a techie, and I've rather grown up in this space. And I come from a generation, I think I'm on a panel with people probably of similar-ish age, but you know, we didn't have a TV in my house until I was 16. I first had a computer when I was at university in my early 20s, and so on. So I like to demystify technology. And sometimes I find when we talk about cloud, you know, it seems like something so big and distant from us, but most people are using cloud today. You know, if you send an email, you're in the cloud already, you know, using WhatsApp, etc. So we are operating in the cloud, and with Africa having 16.7, I think roughly % of the world's population, I think it's a no-brainer that telcos and everyone in this industry, and you know, we're seeing more and more of like data centers, investment in data centers coming onto the continent as well. I think it's an absolute no-brainer, and if that's not part of a telco's strategy today, you know, they're gonna miss out on that space.
Exactly, and I couldn't agree more with you. Well, especially on the part of you know, the age group. I'm 1 year older now, so I do feel for you. But I can't agree more. Mindset changes, discussions around cloud, and what we've discussed so far, I think is one of the main things that we need to always keep in the back of our minds. A quick one to Angelo. You know, telcos have, and especially in the case with Angola Cables is one, we've invested heavily in infrastructure over the years that is set, almost set and forget, and you know, you're trying to generate as much revenue as you can off of it. But when we look at these digital services, these OTT types of services, consumption-based, for instance, How do you leverage your existing infrastructure investments to try and get some of these digital services in, and also then possibly new ones as well?
Well, Nico, well, as you may be aware, the game is changing and it's going to change constantly in the next couple of years. Well, in this morning panel, we just heard a brand new announcement from the guys from Orange and MTN that ACE is going to be launched commercially by the end of this month in South Africa. So ACE is a new cable that will be able to do the whole east west coast of Africa from Cape Town all the way to Europe. So there's more players coming into our existing traditional business. OTTs are there as well with their own cables. With these open systems that allows more companies to join on board. We are also partnering with some of these big hyperscaler companies in some wind systems. We're not competing. We are. I would say that we are cooperating. We don't intend to become their competitors. So we're never going to launch an application like Facebook or Google or something like that. It's not our core business. It's not what we do best. But for sure that we advise that content will be the will drive the business in the near future. And such. That's why you have all these OTTs investing heavily in these sovereign systems, not just us, sovereign systems, so that they will bring their content closer to the final user. And we are going to be there by bringing the content closer to the final user. We're talking about those clouds, and those clouds are going to stay. In order for them to stay closer to the final user, we are going to talk about to edge data centers. So in all these edge data center at the edge, closer to the final user, so that you can have real-time applications, so you can make fully deployments of 5G that is to come, differently in Africa than the rest of the more developed world, but is going to come. We are going to be there with our infrastructure, not of course to have these big OTTs as a customer, but to cooperate with them, to bring other providers that they also need into their own network, into their business, and because we are interconnected with the biggest data centers in the world, we can become this interconnect company or partner that will allow them to not having to leave Africa, but really go and source the contents where it is, so that they can be closer to their customers. And by doing that, it's not just providing like one empty pipe, is really providing one pipe that we know exactly what is going inside. We can have optimization, we can have integration with the application that they have. So one of the things that this digitalization is having, as I said before, is making us having to change the way we operate, is making us having to transform our customers into partners, and so that we know exactly what they are transmitting into our network, and we integrate their own application with our system, and we go and fetch the content that they require. So our offer in the near future is to make their life easier, not being for them to concentrate in their core business and to leave the rest up to us, as we have a wider network, as we are co-located in the biggest data centers across the globe. We know exactly where the content is, and we can go and fetch that content to our customers here in Africa. So our vision of becoming a digital telco is to cooperate and to complement the offer that our customers will have.
Yeah. So thanks, Angelo. And I think that's one thing. So the infrastructure investment in terms of connecting to DCs is something that we're definitely going to be leveraging as digital telcos. So that at least that's good news, because as we normally have substantial investments in these systems, it's really good to know. I think Shanghai, just wrapping up on the topic that we have around, you know, services and redefining services. Do you want to give us a take on, you know, the balance that we have to have with reliability of our existing services versus, you know, investment and time and effort that we have to put into constant innovation, into new services? I mean, I think there's a fine balance there. Where you're not putting in too much effort into one or the other. So how would you see this happening and playing out?
Yes, actually, when we talk about the innovative services, people usually have a higher tolerance for the failure of the services. So people will say when we introduce the new digital solutions or new cloud services into the market, people will accept the lower reliability. But on the contrary, the actual market is slightly different. When people introduce the cloud services, the cloud solutions to the market, usually they will provide a much higher reliability compared with the traditional services. The different things is the traditional services quite rely on the huge investment for the one single link, huge investment for the one set of equipment. But new methodology is slightly different. They use the higher redundancy. They use the different routes to make the protection, even the internet, to use it to provide the protection. And we have higher and higher bandwidth, more reliable bandwidth compared with the traditional services. So something slightly different compared with the legacy services. We can enjoy the much higher reliability on much lower cost. That's the change of the market, and that's also something very interesting. Even for us, the traditional telco, if we want to transform ourselves to digital telco, we have to adapt this kind of change. For example, for China Telecom, we're quite active for the SD-WAN solutions to our customers, to use it as a backup to their traditional links, or even to replace the traditional solution connectivities for our customers.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think you're mentioning the SD-WAN quickly, which is obviously a big driver from a digital services point of view for people to change. And it's been a big disruption in Africa around MPLS, and you know, that's a traditional telco service, and all of a sudden now you've got this on-demand type of SD-WAN service available. So that was a good point there as well. Now, being cognizant of time, I wanted to throw one wrap-up question here to all the panelists before we open up one or two questions to answer. But I wanted to say, considering all the topics we've discussed, the topic we discussed and some of the key points, what would you say it would be the next step? So if I'm a telco in Africa and I want to go into this digital transformation journey to become a digital telco, I'd like to just say, keep unfortunately time, so just a minute or so. Just what would your next step be to that, or recommendation rather, for that next step being, in that journey? So Estelle, do you want to quickly give us your wrap there?
Sure. So, I think from all of our discussions, it's very clear it's a huge opportunity. And as I said, for me, it's about survival. So if I was a telco CEO, what would I do today? I would get my team together, a dedicated team, whatever we need. If we have the resources already and the knowledge internally, then we're good to go. If not, we need to hire consultants, external people. We need to make a commitment with resources. I said earlier as well, this is not a quick sprint. So it's a long journey, and it's not without its challenges, especially resistance to change from our own staff, from our vendors, from management as well. So, it really needs a clear vision from the CEO to drive this throughout the organization. But I can't wrap up without, for me, a fundamental part of our success in Africa, which is ensuring that government and private sectors' ambitions are aligned, so that whatever we do in the technology space, we don't leave people behind and end up with a world that excludes women, children, based on your location within a country as well. And that really requires the government and the private sector to harmonize their investments across the continent.
Absolutely, and I think you couldn't have said it better myself. So Shanghai, if you had your 1 minute of fame here, what would your next step be here?
Yes, sure, Nico. Before I mention our next step, I want to give an echo for your first question, the driver for the digital telco. In the recent several reports from Gartner, and we see a new concept. It's called hybrid workplace. And just the work we're sitting now, and some people sitting in the office, some people sitting at home. That will be the new normal in the future, even post-pandemic. So it gave the digital telco a new area to develop our business. And we need to be open-minded in the future. We cannot do everything by ourselves. We have to create ecosystem and to work with our partners. So that's definitely the most important things for China Telecom in the continent. And at the same time, and since we are a traditional legacy telco as well, we already put huge investment for the network infrastructures and cloud infrastructures. We have to be focused and focus on specific segments and focus on our strengths and to utilize our infrastructures to provide integrated solutions to our end user. That's what we are doing and will do in the future in the continent.
No, brilliant. And I couldn't agree more. It used to be, we're going to say work from home, and my ethos on that is it's work from anywhere. So whether you want to work and that's a big driver for digital services. I mean, we need to be able, telcos have always connected places, and all of a sudden now we have to connect people. And I think that's in itself a huge shift in mindset and capabilities. So wrapping this up with Angelo, you're the man of the hour then. So if you want to give us your next steps or the guidance points for a next step.
Yes, Nico. The first thing would be, and this is what we're trying to do at Angola Cables, is the culture change. It's not easy. People that are used to do business in a certain way, within 1 or 2 years, they have to change the whole concept of the way we used to do business. So telecom guys, they need to move one step forward and start thinking differently. So culture change will be the first thing, and we're doing that already at Angola Cables. And then the other thing will be, we have to replace the limit set of business models that we have for the limit sets of products that we used to have in the past to a multiple and more innovative business models across the whole market. So we're talking about integrating and verticalization, what we're doing, and being able also to support a wider range of customers and suppliers, and all of them becoming our partners. So this is exactly what we mean by digital transformation. Is really the changing of the mindset, would allow us really to not to compete, but to cooperate and to complement our customers and our suppliers' needs. Yes. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to just wrap up 1 sec here with that last comment here. I think the digital telco is going to be defined as a person that is partnering more than competing. And I think that was a very good point as well. So.
Well, with that, thank you very much to all of our panelists for this session, and Nico for doing a fantastic job moderating. You've had a lot of happy birthday messages in the chat, so enjoy your day. I hope you've all found this session as valuable as I have. You can play it back and all of the previous sessions from today for 30 days from now. I'd just quickly like to remind you about our upcoming event, ITW, International Telecoms Week, taking place on the 29th of August to the 1st of September. The next panel for Digital Infra Africa is on preparing for a boom in enterprise hybrid cloud adoption, which is starting in about 15 minutes. So do join us on the next session.